Okay, so now that you have your reference image and your design is transferred to the canvas paper and it looks something like this, you're ready to start painting. Things that you need to do to get ready for an acrylic painting. We have these palette pads here. Okay, you'll see that it says palettes on the outside, and it's sort of like wax paper basically. And you can use this to get your paint and mix your colors on it. At the end of the class period, you can just take this whole page, fold it in half, and throw it out. Okay, technically you can save acrylics, but we don't have the space to do that. So we're just going to take out a little bit of paint. What I actually have here for you on this palette right now is entirely too much for what I'll be able to do. This is enough paint to paint like probably 5 of these, okay? So a little goes a long way. It's better to start out with a little tiny puddle and get more as you need it, okay? So these are big puddles, get smaller puddles. So you need a palette pad, you need black and white paint, you need a bucket of water. I would say probably get at least 2 per table. And then you need an assortment of brushes. The brushes we're going to use for acrylic paintings are the they're sort of flat, they're not like the round pointy ones that we use for watercolor. I also have ones that are slightly rounded at the edge. Those are called filberts. These are just the square brushes. These work fine for our purposes. I do have these that are a firmer bristle, which if you want to get some real nice paint strokes, using this is better. These are firm but also still kind of soft, and they give you some nice smooth blending options there. You can also get a palette knife. This is really good for scooping up paint and making little separate puddles of paint so that you can mix up your different values of gray. Okay, so instead of getting all this paint glopped up into your paintbrush, this works a little bit better. And you keep a nice tight pile of your acrylic paint so it doesn't dry out too fast. Another thing you can grab is a spray bottle of water, again only to spray your paint, not to your friends at your table. That will help keep your paint moist and fresh throughout the class period. You also want a wad of paper towels so that you can dry your brushes off. Adding too much water to acrylic paint is not good for them. You can also use it to wipe off your palette knife before you mix new colors. Okay. So I'm set up, I've got my water, I've got my brushes, I've got my palette, and here is my painting that I'm going to start painting, okay? So what you're going to do is look at this, you're going to mix up some different grays to sort of match the different values that you have here, and then start to paint, okay? So you can even start with sort of like a mid-tone, and maybe you'll start here. This is probably pretty dark for what I've got going on, but something like this would probably be good for that. Stroke there. Okay, so you can start by just blocking in some of your major colors. You always want to add the darker color to the lighter color. If I try to add white to black, I'm going to have to add so much white to that amount of black to get a gray that it's going to take like a gallon of paint. So you always want to start with the lighter color and gradually add the darker color to get to the value that you want. Okay, and you can sort of make up these different puddles of varying values right next to each other so that as you're working you can pick up the right color, or value I should say. And it's okay if you go over the edge here. We're not too worried about the border because we're going to cut that off when we're all done anyway. Okay, and I want you to pay attention to the brush strokes that you can actually see in this painting and try to recreate those as best you can. Okay. So those are some lighter colors in here. Go back, get a little darker. And you want to kind of try to figure out sort of what layers the artist started with first and plop those down first, and then you can build up the brush strokes the way that you want them. Okay, so the idea is to practice playing with value, mixing up a variety of grays, whites and blacks, to recreate what you see here. So you want to recreate the same exact values, the same exact brush strokes, because when we're all done, we're going to put this all together to recreate the actual painting. Okay, so I'm going to continue working on this. I'll time lapse it for you guys so you can see how that looks when I'm all done. Okay, when it's time to clean up, like I said, you just pick up the palette, fold it in half, throw this out. This is a lot of paint to throw out. This is why we are going to start with much smaller puddles, literally just what you think you might need for a small area. Okay, we're not going to paint the whole wall, you know, so just a little bit of paint is fine. Washing brushes is super duper important because when this paint dries, it dries like a plastic and it will leave you with a completely destroyed brush that is no longer usable. Okay, so the first thing you can do is rinse out most of the paint in your bucket of water here, okay? And then you're going to take it into the sink. I'm going to record a separate video for this too, but there's a special brush cleaner which you're going to kind of rub this in there. It's like a soap. Massage it through the bristles and then rinse it fully, and then again leave it to dry, bristle side up. If there's any residue of acrylic paint in these bristles, it will dry and the brush will become unusable, and I will be a very, very sad art teacher, so we don't want to do that. Okay, so we're gonna fold this up, throw it out, clean our brushes really, really well with soap or brush cleaner, leave them to dry, bristle side up. Then this whole thing, it's got your reference photo, it's got your painting, it's got your name on it, everything is taped nice and secure. This whole thing will get slid into the drying rack and then you'll be good to go for the next day, okay? So I hope you guys have fun with this. Just please be careful with the paint. Wear an apron. It will stain your clothes. It does not come out of clothing. It will come off of your hands, but it will not come out of clothing or hair. So be careful. All right, thanks for watching.